the Battle of Britain and the London Blitz have recently taken place in Great Britain against the Nazi forces. The newly appointed Prime Minister Winston Churchill has made his finest hour speech shortly before the Battle of Britain on June 18, 1940. He said, "What General Maxime Weygand called the Battle of France is over. I expect that the Battle of Britain is about to begin. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will say, this was their finest hour." The Germans had been watching the Brits after they evacuated their forces from Dunkirk. It is said that Hitler had originally counted on Britain to compromise peace, which led Germany to believe that the war was over and the Luftwaffe was put on leave. However, Churchill would not back down, and the Nazis thought of it as a bluff. Over time, that proved to be wrong, and they prepared for Operation Sea Lion.
They wanted us to attack Britain and overpower the Army and Navy, but we realized that the Royal Air Force under Chief Marshal Hugh Downing would be the obstacle in our way. Our army was in no way ready to take on the Brits, and the general feared what would happen if the Navy had come. We didn't have the confidence we wanted, but Göring assured De Fuhr under Luftwaffe would deliver promising results, with the invasion attempts being pushed back from mid-August to mid-September.
July 10th marked the start of the battle when German bombers and fighters under the command of Hermann Göring struck a British ship convoy while more bombers attacked the dockyard installations in South Wales. The British Royal Air Force used Supermarine Spitfires and Hawker Hurricanes, which were both single-engine aircrafts equipped with machine guns to intercept and fight off German forces. The Nazi Luftwaffe had two-engine planes such as the Heinkel 3 and Junkers Ju 88, and a single-engine plane called the Messerschmitt Bf 109. Even though the British had less numbers, the German Luftwaffe was declining in numbers as Great Britain proved their superiority in the sky by shooting the aircrafts down faster than they could be produced. The attacks continued into August, and the Prime Minister commemorated the RAF's efforts in a small tribute. He said never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. In early September, Germany accidentally dropped bombs on London. Great Britain retaliated and bombed Berlin. This prompted the Germans to start the London Blitz, a 57 consecutive night air raid on September 7th, 1940.
The Blitz was coming to Britain whether they bombed Berlin or not. We previously had the Blitzkrieg with France before we considered even attacking Britain, but our defeat with the Battle of Britain made us angry and out for blood.
While the start of the Blitz was in broad daylight, the German forces saw it would be easier to attack the Brits in darkness, thus starting the night raids. Despite the disadvantage the night brought on, the RAF continued to resist the onslaught.
We were all worried about the bombs. What if they had used the gas on us? Gas masks were distributed solely for that purpose. My group was in charge of making sure everybody got one.
But they didn't end up gassing us. While they bombed us, we took shelter in our Anderson family shelters in our yards. They were flimsy metal things, quite uncomfortable, but they helped. Others took shelter in the railways under the ground or simply evacuated.
Despite the deadly attacks, our forces pushed on. We had to let everybody know we were to continue to fight.
King George and his wife Queen Elizabeth stayed in London during the attacks, and they often took shelter at the Windsor Castle. London was in ruins after the bombings, but it wasn't the only major city hit by the raids. Liverpool, Coventry, Birmingham, and many other major towns were also targeted by the Luftwaffe. It resulted in the highest night casualty figure of the battle, with 1,364 killed and 1,616 seriously wounded. Overall, over 40,000 people were killed and well over 130,000 people were wounded throughout the battle in the Blitz.
Our sights were set on the Union. A two-front war was not an option, and the Union was an easier target. The agreement we made with them was a sham, yet they didn't know that. This made for a perfect attack. They were unsuspecting, unlike the Brits.
Yeah, that's correct. However, you underestimate their numbers. The Soviets might have been less technologically advanced, but they had the numbers you Germans couldn't touch.
The British had less troops than the Germans, but they had an upper hand with the radar systems called chain-hole, which prevented German surprise attacks. Along with radar, Britain also had superior quality aircraft.